Welcome to the Sports Yapp Podcast.
Let's go.
Bring it in.
All right, let's bring it in here.
Get ready for inspiring conversations about faith and sports.
Everybody up. On your feet. Let's go. Huddle up.
Enjoy genuine interviews with intriguing people. Join me, Bryce Johnson, and Aaron May from Sports Spectrum Magazine as we dive into integrity-based sports talk that will challenge the way we think about faith, sports, life, and entertainment.
They were so convincing in their argument, they swung me.
All right, man.
Have I got your attention now?
Here we go, inside the Sports Spectrum studios, from our mics to your ears. Sports Yapp, I'm Bryce Johnson. With Aaron May from Sports Spectrum Magazine, we're here to be a show that challenges the way we think about life, faith, sports, and entertainment. Hope everyone is doing great this week. The Super Bowl is on Sunday, so we will definitely be talking about that. We'll talk about what we're planning on eating for the big day, how much pregame coverage we'll watch, and then who's going to win the actual game. Should be a blast. Looking forward to that. Also, we've got a lot going on, as always, here at Sports Spectrum, and one of our buddies, Steve Copeland, is in Indianapolis. He's got so many cool videos and blogs going on sportspectrum.com, so you got to make sure you check that out. Talk to one of my favorite Christian rappers, Lecrae. Talk to one of my favorite radio hosts, Dan Patrick. Talk to one of my favorite writers, Peter King. Talk to some players on both teams. And so you got to check that out, sportspectrum.com. And maybe we'll even try to get Steve on the podcast and let us know what's going on up there. But he's in Indy for the Super Bowl, which is great. Aaron, here in the studio, had a nice little birthday this week. How'd the birthday turn out the other night?
Well, it turned out pretty good. I got some sushi.
Sushi?
And
I've never had sushi.
Yeah. It's not as, intimidating as you think it is.
It's intimidating.
Everyone
to
just
me.
thinks raw fish. But you can start out slowly. You can go with the rice roll with some vegetarian stuff in it. You can do the cucumber, you can do the avocado, you can do the cream cheese. You can start out slow. But
what makes it so good? Like, why does sushi have this aura about it?
I don't know. You just have to eat it. I mean,
is it that unique to where everybody makes kind of a big deal? Like it seems like once people taste it, they're in. It's just taking that step to taste it, which I don't know why that is. I don't know why I haven't taken the step.
Well, I don't either. I don't know why we have this thing about raw fish, because
there's something there.
I guess when you think raw fish, you think of the fish with the eyeballs, just like a fish that just came out of the water. So you're looking at, that's what you're thinking of. But the way they present it on,
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, but the way they present it on sushi, it looks, you wouldn't have known if it was cooked or not, other than it's pink if it's salmon or whatever. But
so you had sushi on your birthday.
It's good, yeah.
And it was good.
It was good.
All right.
And they brought it to me on a boat. It was a fish boat.
Did they really?
Yeah, they bring the sushi on the boat. So
wow. All right. Well, that's
pretty neat.
If that's what you like, glad you got to get that on your birthday.
Yeah.
I always go hot dog casserole. You go sushi.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right. So today on the podcast, we got to talk a ton about the Super Bowl, but also, to me, the NBA is heating up. And there are a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of players that continue to steal highlights, continue to make a name for themselves. So we'll talk about that as well. But I want to lead the show off today talking about something that I was thinking about this weekend, because LeBron James and the Miami Heat are having another nice, interesting season. And, of course, when you put together these stars, there's going to be a lot of attention, toward them. And then also Tiger Woods is easing back into the golf season, and he ends up not playing very well down the stretch on Sunday. But he was in the tournament. It was overseas, Dubai, or some crazy tournament. But him, Rory McIlroy, they were both in it, and Tiger had a chance to win it. I mean, all week long he was playing well, and then just kind of collapsed on the final day to a certain extent. But here's the link between the two guys and the topic that I want to bring up today. I'm not ready to talk golf and get into golf just yet. It's only February to where I'm going to sit and really watch a ton of golf. But there were a couple interesting stories over the weekend from golf. But here's what I'm thinking about. The fact that LeBron James and Tiger Woods are two of the biggest athletes in sports. And they both were hated big time last year. Big time. I mean, everybody was against Tiger Woods and against, everything that he did with his wife and cheating on her and all the attention that has garnered. I guess it's almost been 2 years now since all that has happened. So there has been this genuine hate and rooting against Tiger Woods for everything that happened. For LeBron James, same thing. He leaves Cleveland. Everybody, at least in my mind, I wanted to see him stay in Cleveland, build the franchise up even more than what he had done. I wanted to see him win in Cleveland and be the guy. And he ends up leaving, kind of takes, in my opinion, the easy way out to go team up with other stars. However, as anti-LeBron, as anti-Tiger Woods as I became and as many people became, at this point now, this season, I think they're both rootable. I don't know if I made that word
rootable.
up, but I think they're rootable. They're you can root for them at this point because to me they've both been humbled. Everybody has hopped off their bandwagon, and I don't know if I just like to be different or what, but I want to hop back on, and not necessarily because their character has changed or whatever. It's pure sports. I want to see Tiger dominate again. I want to see him on the leaderboard on Sundays. I want to see him stealing headlines for the amazing putt that he hit, the amazing drive that he hit off the tee, and the interesting down to the wire matchup that he'll have against a Rory McIlroy, Bubba Watson, Webb Simpson, you name it, and Phil Mickelson. That's what I want to see. That's what I want the storyline to be this season instead of, oh, is Tiger back? Is he ever going to get back? Is he healthy? What about his mental game? I want it to be about him dominating again. That's what was fun. That's what's great about Tiger. I used to root for Tiger. I used to be a big Tiger Woods fan. I had memorabilia, all that sort of thing. I took it down. I got rid of it. I threw it in the closet, whatever, because I just didn't want to root for a guy like kind of what he was representing,
right,
and kind of how he let people down. But just for a pure sports standpoint, I want to start rooting for Tiger again. I do. I can't help it. I want to see him do well. I was excited that he was in the running at the end on Sunday this past weekend, and the same thing for LeBron. Last year, I didn't think that they had enough role pieces to win it all, and I wanted to see them struggle. I wanted to see them humbled, the Heat humbled, because they came out, they were so arrogant. They thought that they were going to win 20 championships
6,
in a row.
7, 8, 9.
It was just absurd, and so I was rooting against them. Well, they lost in the finals, and people kind of wrote them off to a certain extent, and people really went against LeBron. I mean, he's not clutch, he can't do this, he can't do that, he's overrated, all these sort of things. And to me, he's the best player in the game from a physical standpoint, the passing, the shooting, the getting to the basket. His defense is good, and to me, he does make people better around him. Now, he may not be able to hit the game-winning shot every night, but that's why they have Dwayne Wade.
Right.
Dwayne can be that guy. And so, even though they're still a little arrogant, a little annoying at times, I want to see LeBron play well, prove people wrong. I like when people prove people wrong.
Yeah.
Whether I love the heartwarming stories when, players come out of nowhere and they have to overcome a lot to get to the next level, whether it's from high school to college or college to pro. Those stories are great. But I also like when great players get kind of dogged on.
Right.
And they write them off, critics write them off and say this guy's not going to do anything, and then they prove everybody wrong. I'm a fan of that as well. From a sports perspective, I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, that's interesting because when LeBron was on the Cavs, I wasn't a big LeBron supporter. The main reason being I couldn't stand the way they would run their offense.
I didn't like their offense.
It was give LeBron the ball and 4 guys would stand around and do nothing. So, but once he went to Miami, it's like everyone jumped on the LeBron hate bandwagon. And LeBron's not any good. LeBron's not successful. The Miami Heat last year, they were failures. They made the finals.
They made the finals
in the first year.
The first year.
That's pretty impressive. So that part of me wants to pull for LeBron just because the hate has been so overwhelming.
Yeah. So you get what I'm saying here, and then from a on the court standpoint, adding Shane Battier and getting Udonis Haslem back healthy,
right?
Those are the missing pieces because you got to have the guys that are gritty, defensive minded, willing to pass or take a clutch shot because Battier can hit clutch shots.
Yeah.
So, or he doesn't have to, he doesn't have to be that guy either. And he'll play good defense. He'll guard the best player on the other team when he has to. And I think adding that piece is huge. And maybe people haven't necessarily seen that quite yet in the regular season, but in the playoffs, you'll see it. You'll see that Battier is a difference maker. Same with Haslam down low. And so I like what the Heat have done. I think they're going to be tough in the playoffs. And even though I'm a Lakers fan, the Lakers aren't good enough. They're not good enough with this roster to win it all. And so I'm ready to hop on the bandwagon that the Heat are going to win it all, and that I'm kind of starting to root for LeBron a little bit just because everybody else it seems to be rooting against him. And I know some people are kind of coming around, kind of have the same mindset that I do, saying, all right, they had a down year. I'm glad to see that, but now let's move on. It seems like LeBron has kind of moved on from that mentality of being a villain and being, the bad guy that left Cleveland or whatever.
Right.
And just saying, hey, we got to play. We're trying to win a championship. Let's do what we can to make that happen. So I feel that way with LeBron. I feel that way with Tiger. And I got a feeling, too, we're still too far away from the next NFL season. But the Philadelphia Eagles, they might be that team, too. Because they added a bunch of pieces this past year. They were supposed to be the dream team. It didn't work out. They got humbled. They got to wake up a little bit. I think they'll come back next year even hungrier, and they're going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, I can see that.
But we're still ways away from that. We've got the Super Bowl this weekend. And before we get to the Super Bowl, we've got to talk about the story that's stealing all the headlines. And that, of course, is Peyton Manning. And I know that everybody's been talking about Peyton Manning. And if you're like me, you're probably getting tired of it as well. But he is one of my favorite players. So this is where I stand with Peyton Manning. I think he's going to play again. I think he's going to play for another team. And I think he's going to play well. And wherever he goes, I'll root for that team. I don't think I've ever rooted for the Miami Dolphins before. If he goes to the Miami Dolphins, I'm rooting for him. If he goes to the Arizona Cardinals, I'm rooting for him. That's how much I'm a fan of Peyton Manning. And I think it's been interesting the way that the media is just trying to guess so much, and there's so much back and forth, and every day there seems to be a different report, and we just got to see it play out. But to me, he's gonna get better. He's gonna be fine. Not that I'm a doctor, not that I know anything, but just rooting for him. That's what I want to believe. And it makes no sense to go back to Indianapolis. I don't even know why people are still talking about it. Move on. It's over.
Right.
It's over in Indy. Like, it's so clear, and it's just funny how there's still some people kind of arguing like he should come back. And I understand from a Colts fan's perspective, the people in Indy, they don't want to lose Peyton. That's their guy.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense to come back. You pay him all that money, and of course the health still is an issue, so they have to make a decision to move on.
Yeah, his coaches are gone. That system's gone. I mean,
yeah.
What is there to come back to?
I mean, Clyde Christensen staying on as the quarterback's coach, and he was the offensive coordinator. But other than that, yeah, everybody's moved on.
Yeah.
And I just think it's time for him to move on. I think that it can be a clean break. For a while there, I was rooting for them to keep Peyton around, keep everything intact. But that's over. That dream from my dream, I guess, for the Colts, it's over. So the coaches move on. A couple of the players will end up moving on as well. And I think Peyton's going to move on. So it doesn't have to be a bad split. It doesn't have to be, Jim Irsay's a jerk or Peyton's a jerk for leaving or, whatever. It just has to, you look at it and go, yep, all right, we got to move on.
Yeah.
This is how it is. And I think Irsay can say, hey, Peyton, the door's open. As soon as you're done playing, and maybe you can go play for a veteran team and really help them because they're in a position where they just need a quarterback and then they go to the next level. Whereas the Colts, they got to go in rebuilding mode. They got to start over with a rookie quarterback and build through the draft and build around him and move forward with the new coaching staff and a new general manager and all that sort of thing. So to me, it doesn't have to be as crazy as it's been.
Yeah.
To me, there's just been so much shenanigans with this. Like, oh, did you hear what Peyton Manning said? Did you hear what Jim Irsay said? Who cares? Like, I was listening to Peyton last night doing an interview with Trey Wingo. Him and Jim Irsay, they have a good relationship. It's not going to change. If he leaves, it doesn't have to change.
I wonder what do people expect them to do? Like, suddenly want to have a cage fight in MMA or something?
Yeah, like, and I think,
where are they going with it?
Exactly. And it's almost like the media wants it to be Brett Favre versus the Packers.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Peyton against the Colts.
Right.
Time has run out. And I understand why Packers fans at the time got frustrated because the Packers were a throw away from going to the Super Bowl with Brett Favre, and then they decided to move on. So I thought, oh, man, you got to bring Favre back for one more year because they were so close. With Peyton, this team, well, they end up winning 2 games.
2 games.
2 games. Okay, so it's time to move on. The talent has depleted. They decided to start over with the coaching staff. It's time to move on. So just make it simple. Hey, Peyton, thanks for everything. We're going to release you. Good luck finding another team. We know you'll be able to find something as long as you're healthy. And we got to rebuild. We like that we got the number 1 pick. We like this can't-miss guy at quarterback, Andrew Luck from Stanford. We're going to go with him. All right, cool. Thanks.
Now, what do you think?
I guess it's easy for me to say sitting here,
right.
But in my mind, that's how it seems.
If you think Irsay's already made his mind up, what do you think the reasoning is for stalling to make this final? Why doesn't he just come out and say, yeah, Peyton's going to move on?
That's a good question. And I don't know.
What is the point of the stalling?
I don't know. It seems ridiculous. Peyton seemed to think that they were going to talk next week. And so maybe they'll just figure it out next week. But yeah, I don't buy that they haven't decided on that. When they decided to get rid of the coaching staff, to me, they decided to get rid of Peyton Manning.
Right.
That was one and the same. When you get rid of the Polians, that meant you get rid of the coaching staff. That meant you get rid of Peyton Manning. It all linked together as far as I was concerned. And so why delay it? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense.
Maybe this is just all a ploy to get the Colts more media attention.
Possibly. I mean, it's
just a big media stunt. That's
Super
why
Bowl's,
he's waiting.
The Super Bowl's in Indy, and it seems like the Colts are just as much of the conversation as the Patriots or the Giants.
Yeah, they really are.
And
they went 2-14.
They did. They really did, and they had an awful year. It was very hard to watch. But the 2 teams this weekend, Giants, Patriots, 2 teams I don't necessarily like rooting for, but the more I see the highlights from the Super Bowl a couple of years ago when these 2 guys were in it, I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited for another close, exciting game, and I think there are enough players coming back. The fact that the 2 quarterbacks and the coaches are the same makes it interesting, and the fact that the Patriots lost the last game in the Super Bowl, to me, just makes me want to root for the Patriots.
Get revenge.
and it's funny when the players try to deny that there isn't a revenge factor. Of course it is. That's got to be the guys that played in that game. That's got to be a big part of the motivation going into the game, the thought process going into the game. And so I'm kind of finding myself rooting and picking for the Patriots, and I can't believe I'm saying it. I really can't. Like I'm surprised by it because when the Patriots beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl a few years ago, I guess it's been a while now.
Yeah, 2003.
That was when I hate the Patriots. I don't want to ever see them win again. But now that they've kind of been humbled as well, and the fact that they've been able to build this team back up. Now they have a couple key guys still on this roster, but they've had a lot of turnover as well. A lot of just random positions that guys are playing out of position and players that weren't anything on another team have an impact on this team. And it's just amazing to me to see Belichick put this team together and Brady elevate players' games and just get them involved. And so I just find myself rooting for that and liking what the Patriots kind of represent now. I didn't like when the Patriots represented cheating and Spygate, and I didn't really like when they were representing the domination, especially domination of my team and beating the Panthers. And so now that it's kind of changed, now that they've lost in the playoffs, now that they've lost in the Super Bowl, I kind of want to see them do it again. It's weird. It really is. But it seems like Tom Brady is, he appears humble in the press conferences. Belichick seems to be lightening up a little bit. The Giants, to me, are coming in a little more arrogant because they won it last time.
Well,
and maybe they should come in with more confidence.
And they've had the Patriots number. They beat them this year in Foxborough, so
absolutely,
you would expect to be a little confident.
and they should be. And on paper, they're the better team. They've got maybe a couple more weapons. Defensively, they're way better. Their defensive line, it's very dominant. And if they get to Brady and rough him up a little bit, it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots kind of counter that. Will they get the running game going, which hasn't been much of a factor this year? And so I am excited about the game. I think it's just a good matchup. Plenty of star players. When the two quarterbacks are big-time stars, that always helps. Known coaches, guys that have both won Super Bowls. And I asked this question on Twitter, and maybe it's a ridiculous question, but would you rather go to one Super Bowl and win one Super Bowl,
Right.
or go to two Super Bowls but you win the first one and lose the second one? Because that's what the Giants are facing right now. You know, these guys they've already won one.
Right.
Now they're back in the Super Bowl, which is exciting. But if the Giants lose this one, that means that's kind of the last memory. You know, you still have the memory of winning, but then it's like, man, we have unfinished business.
Yeah.
Whereas at this point, they've got finished business. So would you even want to go back? Because to me, I just want the one win. If I'm the Giants, I just want that one win, and I don't want the loss.
Well, I guess you could compare that to the Colts because
and I don't think that's good either.
Yeah, they lost to the Saints, a few years later. So
now I know it's outrageous because you want the opportunity to win a second one. So I get that. So the Giants have a chance to win two, which is big. When you start talking multiple Super Bowl rings, that's big. But I think the Giants have kind of a lot to lose this time. And also, then that means these two teams are split in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They each have one.
So that means we need a third.
They got to go again. Then they got to go
rubber
again.
match.
Because if you leave 1-1, I don't know. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
Seems like there's unfinished business.
It does. So I don't know. It's just the thought I had the other day. But all right. So this weekend, what are your Super Bowl plans? What's your go-to Super Bowl food that you got to have? You're sitting there watching the game. It's a long game. You got to sit through commercials. What do you have?
Well, typically, I like to have wings, but I feel like I've eaten wings a lot recently.
Oh.
So I don't know if I'm going to go to the wings this time.
That's poor planning. You got to know the Super
really
Bowl's coming.
But some guys from church, we've been having wing nights a lot. So
you got to just...
You've just been eating wings a lot. But you got to always have the chips and dip. That's a staple of the Super Bowl.
It is. And
very simple, very easy to do.
And here's the dip that I'll be having. Barf dip.
Barf dip?
Barf dip. Absolutely delicious.
What is in barf?
Two ingredients, but I can't tell you what those are. I can't share it with you. I can't share it with the audience. It's two ingredients. It's barf dip, and it's a Mexican dip. It is delicious. It's delicious. I can eat a ton of it. It doesn't, it fills you up, but you can just keep going with it. It's so good you don't want to stop. So I will be having a big thing of barf dip, and after that, anything else is a bonus. As long as I have that for Super Bowl Sunday, I'm good to go. And I will say this, since the NBC crew has the game this year, I'm going to watch a lot more pregame. Bob Costas, Dan Patrick, Tony Dungy. We'll probably see Al Michaels. This is an awesome crew. Chris Collinsworth. I love all these guys.
I'm glad it's not on CBS.
Yes, me too.
I'm not a big fan of their pregame crew.
I'm not either. So
I like James Brown, but after that, it's like,
it's downhill.
Yeah.
Even though I saw Shannon Sharp interviewed the other day, and I saw a different side of him that I liked. I liked the different side of Shannon Sharp. It was pretty good. But yeah, no, I'm excited about the NBC coverage. They always have a bunch of like pop culture, entertainment stuff going on beforehand. Because when you have that long of pregame, you got to fill it with other stuff. So
we should get more Dan Patrick, right?
We should. I hope so. I hope we get to see more of that. But I know Bob Costas is interviewing Madonna, and so some of that stuff. They'll probably get the Today Show people involved, but some of it's kind of fun. I'm going to soak it in. I'm going to enjoy the Super Bowl, and I'm looking forward to the commercials as always.
Sure,
I think that's always fun.
Well, I'm excited about the Ferris Bueller commercial.
I heard about that. I have a little bit.
Yeah. So
we'll see. Have they already shown it?
Well, apparently you can watch it on YouTube, but I've decided I'm not going to spoil myself.
No, don't.
I just want to see it during the game.
I agree. You got to get that initial reaction with everybody in the room, and then break it down at that point.
Right.
Now you can't watch it by yourself on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't understand why they released the full thing before the Super Bowl.
They know everyone's going to watch it anyway.
I guess so.
I guess it creates a little bit of buzz beforehand to make sure that everybody watches it.
It just ruins the surprise.
I know. So. I don't like that either.
Yeah. But I am excited to see that commercial. That's the one I've heard about.
Yeah, that is one that I've heard about. I haven't heard too much other than that, so it'll be fun to see. Next Monday, we will break down the Super Bowl. We'll break down it all from pregame to the game, commercials, everything. I'll tell you about how the barf dip turned out, so that'll be fun on Monday.
Barf dip, man.
It's delicious. I'm going to have to make it for you someday. But if you don't want to watch Madonna during halftime, hopefully you've already ordered the Power to Win DVD, because that's what I'll be watching during halftime. That's what we did here at Sports Spectrum. Jeff Saturday, London Fletcher, Hunter Smith, Heath Evans, all these guys are featured on this DVD, sharing their faith and testimony and all that. So it's very cool. Came together nicely, and churches all over the country that are having Super Bowl parties are using that DVD, and even my little party at home will be using it as well. So that's exciting also. But a couple quick NBA thoughts before we get out of here. A lot going on. And I watched a little bit of the Lakers Bobcats game last night. Those are my two teams, and Kobe Bryant had a great game as always. He's putting together a nice season. I like that he's playing well, but they just don't have enough weapons. The Lakers with Ron Artest not playing as well as he needs to play.
Meta world peace.
Meta world peace. I always forget. It's just an absurd thing to say. They don't have the bench that they need. So it's just kind of interesting. The West is very deep. I was looking at it yesterday. There are 10 or 11 teams that are good teams. But really, only Oklahoma City is a great team with Kevin Durant. I think the Clippers are right there behind him. I think the Clippers are probably the second best team in the West. And the way that Blake Griffin is playing right now, the dunk he had the other night, did you see it?
Yeah, it was
how many times
crazy.
have you seen it? That's probably the better question. Yeah. Over Kendrick Perkins, and Blake Griffin is playing phenomenal. Kevin Love is putting together such a great season. I really like what Minnesota's doing right now, and Ricky Rubio's shocking everybody at the quarterback, point guard. I mean, he's playing like a quarterback. It's great. You got Kevin Love running the floor. Wayne Ellington from Carolina is finally playing well. They got Derrick Williams, Wesley Johnson, all these different weapons. I love what Minnesota's doing. Same thing in L.A. with Chris Paul and Billups and Caron Butler and DeAndre Jordan. Fun teams to watch, fun young teams to watch. I can't wait for the playoffs. And then in the East, it's the Heat and it's the Bulls. And that's about it. They had a good game on Sunday. Both those teams are good. But other than that, I mean, what teams do you like? Orlando's a disaster with Dwight Howard. They got to trade him. Like, there's no other option at this point.
Yeah.
They have to get rid of him.
They're not winning anymore, so.
They're not winning. They're not playing together.
He doesn't want to be there.
I was talking to Brett Honeycutt here in the office, and he was saying how he was, reading something about how Dwight Howard has lost the right to call his teammates out because he's not a leader. You're not a leader when you want to leave.
Right.
You're leaving. You don't want to be with these teammates. So why would they listen to you? Why would they respond to your encouragement, to your motivation?
That's probably why they're losing.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. That's why, because they got talent. They're a pretty good team, talent wise. But yeah, if you're not on the same page, you're not playing together, it's not going to work. So the Magic aren't a very good team. The Celtics, they're too old. They needed Jeff Green healthy this year. He's not healthy. When they got rid of Kendrick Perkins last year, they lost their intimidating force down low. So the Celtics, to me, aren't good enough. And then after that, I mean, Indiana's a nice team. I think they're a good team. They're a playoff team. They're pretty solid. I like the direction that they're heading. They're still a little too young. Who else?
What do you think about Atlanta?
Atlanta, they're the same team every year.
Yeah.
They'll make the playoffs. They'll go out in the first round. Maybe they'll sneak into the second round.
What has been surprising is Philadelphia. They've been really good this year.
I'm glad you mentioned Philadelphia because Philadelphia is a good team. They're a nice team. They're not a championship contender, but they're a good team. Doug Collins, I loved listening to him as a color commentator for many years, and getting back on the sideline and motivating guys with big contracts like Elton Brand, like Andre Iguodala, and getting the most out of those guys. Young talent like Drew Holiday, taking his game to the next level. So the Sixers are tough. They're going to be whoever they play in the first round of the playoffs will be a great series. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the Sixers and the Pacers. I like watching those teams, but really it's only the Heat and the Bulls that are contenders in the East. Whereas in the West, like if Portland continues to get better, if Minnesota continues to get better, those two teams are like they've got a lot of weapons, but they're probably still too young. Right. At least the Timberwolves are. But Portland's kind of my sleeper team. That if they get it together,
can we just call them the Bobcats West? Raymond Felton, Gerald Wallace, those guys back together again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of funny.
It is. I like watching that team too. I guess I didn't even mention Dallas. Dallas is a contender too, but are they motivated the same way as they were last year? That's kind of how I don't see it. Dirk Nowitzki's had problems with his conditioning. I mean, come on. Come on, really? I mean, I think they'll be fine in the end. They'll get in the playoffs, and they'll at least get out of the first round. But they don't have enough pieces to win it all again.
I don't think
repeat.
Lamar Odom's been much of a help there.
No, because mentally he's not. He's like doesn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Well, he didn't want to be with the Lakers. Now he don't want to be with the Mavericks.
It doesn't make sense.
Put him and Dwight Howard on a team together.
I know. Exactly. Those two complain and everything. But no, I think Odom toward the end of the year, once he kind of gets over his whatever he's going, he seems like he's going through something. I don't know. But once he gets through that, he'll be a pretty impactful player for the Mavs. But anyway, that's just kind of a quick overview of the NBA. Once the NFL season wraps up this weekend, we'll move into some more NBA and college basketball talk. And I guess real quickly, Aaron, what are some thoughts in college basketball right now? We had a couple guys from the office go to the Carolina Wake game last night.
Yeah.
To me, Carolina's still the team to beat. I know that they've kind of been up and down. I know they've struggled a little bit.
I've hopped off their bandwagon.
You've hopped off? I'm still on it. I'm a Duke fan, but I still think Carolina's the team to beat.
I don't like it, and history kind of shows this. When you get blown out really bad, you rarely see those teams win a title. The last time a really bad blowout loss happened and they won a title was actually the Carolina team from, was it 92 or 93, where Chris Webber gave him a little help with the timeout. So that's the last time that I had read about, a big blowout loss like that. So it's rare when they actually do go all the way, though. Carolina is the team that did it before. So
they're too good. They got too many veterans, guys that have been there in the tournament. So they'll kind of, I think they'll be fine in the ACC. Them and Duke will probably split. Virginia's right there in the mix. Florida State's right there in the mix. But I think Carolina's still the team to beat.
See, I'm off.
All right, so you're off. You're off.
I think they're going to run into some tough team. They won't know what to do. They'll collapse. Well, it may be all the way up to the Final Four, but I do think they're going to lose at some point.
So today, who do you like? Who's the team to beat?
I've been saying Ohio State all year. A few weeks ago, I was ready to hop off, but I'm starting to get back on there.
You're staying on.
Starting to get back on, yeah. So I'm still going to say Ohio State, though I'm not really confident about any team this year. It seems really wide open. Outside of Kentucky, maybe Syracuse, Ohio State, North Carolina, elite talent, no teams really have that elite talent. Kentucky has the most, but they're all freshmen. So you just don't expect them to put it all together for a tournament run. You expect them to run into a wall at some point, especially when SEC play doesn't necessarily, prepare you for the tournament. So I just feel like it's really wide open this year. We might see another VCU in the Final Four. Maybe it's Murray State.
Murray State. I can guarantee this. It won't be Murray State.
It won't be Murray State.
It's never the team that goes undefeated early. It's just hard. It's hard to keep that going because now they're on everybody's radar.
Yeah, sure.
So
maybe it will be Iona. So there's a team for you.
Could be it's always someone random. That's what makes it special. It's like, this came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
even last year when we knew that Butler could go all the way, it still came out of nowhere that they went all the way again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Because no one is expecting them to do it again. So.
Butler's kind of in their league of their own. They're a different type of team. They're the real deal. Even when people try to doubt them, they think they're a fluke.
I do think Butler. Good. I'd be surprised if they're in the tournament this year.
Oh, you don't even think they'll make the tournament?
Yeah, they're going to have to win the Horizon League tournament because they're sitting at 500 in the league and overall. So
I think they'll do it.
They're struggling to score this season.
They know what they have to do. They know they have to win the tournament and they'll get in.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see.
I'll write that down today.
I think Cleveland State's going to win the Horizon League. They're something like 17-4 this year.
Oh, now you're a Cleveland State expert, huh?
Well, I'm just saying.
There
Look
you
at
go.
the records.
All right.
That's the team Norris Cole came from. So
true with Miami. Yeah. There's another piece to the Miami Heat that really helps them. All right, we're going to debut a new segment right now, and Aaron came up with it. He's got the questions. I have no idea what he's about to ask me. No idea. But it's a segment we're going to call What Would You Do?
What would you do?
All right. And that song we just played is from the 1990s
I love it.
Nickelodeon hit What Would You Do, hosted by Mark Summers.
Mark Summers. I was trying to think of the name. Mark Summers.
Mark Summers.
Classic show.
Of course, he hosted Double Dare and Family Double Dare and all those great family shows.
He was a legend in the 90s.
He really was.
Is that one? Yeah, 90s.
Now I think he's on the Food TV network and he produces a bunch of stuff, so he's behind camera now.
He's still hanging on.
He's still hanging on.
Still hanging on.
So,
all right. So what are these questions? What do we have today?
All right. Now let me explain the segment. What would you do? I'm basically going to give Bryce a sports situation, and he's going to tell me what he would do with it.
Nice.
Pretty
I like
simple.
it.
So
I like it. Not that I have all the answers, but
Right.
it'll be interesting to see anyway.
all right. First one we're going to do. The New York Knicks are 8-13.
Ooh, I'm glad you asked.
They traded last year to get Carmelo Anthony.
Yep.
They figured, well, we may not win this year, but next year, with all the time to prepare, playing together in a season, we're going to do better. We're going to be a contender. Right now, if the playoffs started, they would not be in it. They would be in the lottery. So
I didn't even mention them earlier.
yeah. So you're the Knicks GM. What would you do?
First off, Mike D'Antoni isn't the answer.
So he's gone.
I think you do that first. I think you fire D'Antoni first and see if another coach can work with the talent on the team. Because on paper, when you start talking about Carmelo Anthony, Amari Stoudemire, Tyson Chandler, who's the other guy? Landry Fields. Those are some nice pieces. I mean, that's good talent, especially in the Eastern Conference, which I was saying earlier. There's just not a lot of great teams. So the Knicks should be in the mix. So why aren't they? To me, you got to address the coach first. I think it's going to be it's difficult to know which of those stars you would trade. Do you give up on Amari and completely build around Carmelo Anthony? I don't think you trade Carmelo. I think that would be absurd. So really, it's Amari's the guy that you have to think about trading. Tyson Chandler, there's no point trading him. I mean, he's one of the best centers in the league. He's a defensive-minded guy. I don't think he takes anything away. The problem with Amari Stoudemire is he needs a lot of touches. And him and Carmelo Anthony are actually very similar players. Even though they play different positions, there's a lot of similarities to where they can clash. But maybe a different coach can figure out how to make it work. And they got to score more points. I mean, they should be lighting it up and winning a ton of games. There's too much talent on the roster. Now, it hurts that they don't have enough bench because they traded everybody to get Carmelo Anthony. And that's why Denver's so good. Denver's got all these nice pieces, Gallinari and Wilson Chandler and everybody.
Now, who's running the point right now for the Knicks?
They're waiting on Baron Davis.
Yeah, I know they're waiting on Baron, but
Mike Bibby.
I
think Mike Bibby's there.
It just seems to me like
that's a problem too.
With D'Antoni's system, these aren't guys who want to run up and down the court. Baron Davis, an old Baron Davis.
Oof.
Carmelo, he's a half court player.
He kind of is. I mean, Amari likes to run the floor. Chandler can run the floor. But it doesn't. It's just not working with D'Antoni. So my answer would be fire D'Antoni. And I don't know who you bring in. Maybe Phil Jackson. Maybe you go to Montana and say, hey, come on, you're a New York Knicks guy.
Right.
It's time to come back.
Might as well.
I wouldn't rule that out. I don't think has that rumor started yet?
I've heard it.
Have you? Okay.
It's not it's not really been run away with the media, but I have heard it.
Okay. I'm gonna hop on that rumor.
So the Knicks get rid of D'Antoni.
That's it. That's the answer. That's what I would do.
All right, next scenario.
I've never been a fan of his anyway. But anyway,
okay.
Go ahead.
Next scenario. We kind of talked a little bit about the Indianapolis Colts. So you're Peyton Manning. You're gone from the Colts since we've decided that the Colts they're going to get rid of.
Time to move on.
You're Peyton Manning. You're done with the Colts. Where do you want to sign? Just think that every offer is going to be the same. Same money.
Same money.
What team do you want to play with?
If you think you can handle the shenanigans of Rex Ryan and the Jets, that's the team that's closest.
Okay.
They got veteran pieces. They actually have nice wide receivers. Now, Santonio Holmes is kind of a tough guy to deal with. Well, maybe Peyton Manning can handle him. Plaxico Burress, I don't think he was really the problem in New York this year. I think he was fine. It was more Santonio Holmes. They got a nice tight end in Dustin Keller. Sean Green improved this year at running back. So you got plenty of offensive weapons. So who's the new coordinator? Tony Sparano. So I don't know. I think the Jets is a team you got to consider. Now they got Mark Sanchez there. Rex Ryan loves Mark Sanchez, but we all know that they'll throw Sanchez to the curb if they can get Peyton Manning.
Right.
I really believe that. So that's kind of my first thought. Miami Dolphins, they've been mentioned a lot as well. And the way that Brandon Marshall played in the Pro Bowl, you hate to look too much in the Pro Bowl, but there's a guy that can catch the ball. I mean, he is a stud. So if you're Peyton Manning and you know you can throw to Brandon Marshall, throw to Devon Bess in the slot, and let's see who else do they have. That's about all they got. But they're a decent team to at least consider. they're kind of in a rebuilding mode. You got Reggie Bush coming out of the backfield. Not rebuilding mode, but they got a new coach. They're kind of changing some things. So that's probably not the best case scenario, but Miami's, it's at least nice weather, that sort of thing.
You can hang out with LeBron.
Yeah, you could. You can hang out with LeBron, and then also you think about some other teams across the league. Are they committed to a young quarterback like Arizona, Kevin Cobb? Like they don't really know yet, because in Miami, Matt Moore is fine. He's a solid player. I actually personally like Matt Moore, but they're not connected to him in any major way. But teams like Arizona, Minnesota with Christian Ponder, Tennessee with Jake Locker, and even the Jets with Mark Sanchez, or the Ravens with Joe Flacco. I mean, all these teams, they'd love Peyton Manning, I'm sure, but they're already kind of committed to a young guy, and what would that do to the development and moving forward? So it's an interesting situation, but I'll go Jets.
Going with the Jets.
Going with the Jets.
Peyton Manning and Rex Ryan.
Wouldn't that be great? And just from a hype standpoint, I want to see it.
Well, just imagine Jets versus Patriots.
Twice a year, baby.
Twice a year.
Twice
that'd
a year.
Be pretty crazy.
Even if he goes to the Dolphins, it'd be twice a year, so that'd be cool too.
And considering, it seemed like there's just a lot of leadership problems on this year's Jets teams, I think Peyton Manning would fix all that. Who's not going to listen to Peyton Manning?
That would help. Santonio Holmes, get to the huddle. Run this route. I'll try to find you.
All right. This is going to be the last one. We're going back to the NBA, and I'm going to go with your Lakers team.
Okay.
Right now they are 13-9. That puts them as a 6th seed in the playoffs. But it's
crazy to think.
They don't, and you've said this earlier, they don't really seem like they're a contender this year the way the roster is. So if you're the Lakers GM, what would you do with this team?
You get Chris Paul. Oh, wait. They tried, and it didn't work. I mean,
David Stern blocked it.
That's really, that's what needed to happen.
Right.
They needed to trade Pau Gasol, and they needed to get Chris Paul, and it didn't happen. And, that really messed them up. That their whole plan was ruined, because that was a good trade.
Yeah.
It helped all three teams, the Rockets, the Hornets, and the Lakers.
See, I didn't understand that trade just because it did help 3 teams. The trade that happened later helped 2 teams. So
it's absurd that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the Clippers. I think Chris Paul in L.A. for the Clippers is fine too. I think that's exciting. But the Lakers needed that to happen. So I think Pau Gasol is the guy you move. You can't get rid of a young center like Andrew Bynum. He's way too talented. I mean, I saw this dunk last night. I mean, he's like a man amongst boys, especially when you're playing against the Bobcats and they don't have a center. So to me, you got to keep Bynum, because you can almost build around him moving forward even after Kobe leaves. Because Pau, he's a little older, so he's kind of like a tweener. You can't really build around him.
Right. And
he's not as old as Kobe, where he only has a couple years left. So I just think another team would probably be better off with Pau. So I don't have the solution of where he should go, but I think Pau's the guy you got to trade. You can't trade world peace, which is weird to say.
Yeah.
But he's not going anywhere. He's got a terrible contract, and he's not worth the money that he's making. So the Lakers are stuck with him. They don't have any other pieces. Matt Barnes doesn't have value. I mean, they signed Capono, Josh McRoberts, Troy Murphy. Those are just role players that they have on their bench. They can't trade Luke Walton. Derek Fisher's too old. Steve Blake, I mean, he doesn't have a ton of value.
Right.
So Pau Gasol is the only guy. I don't know what the solution other than that is for them.
Do you think Phil Jackson would have the team in the same predicament? Do you think it's talent as much as it is coaching, or do you think coaching's played a factor?
Yeah, a little bit, because they've had to change things too much. The offense just looks so different.
Yeah.
And even watching Pau Gasol, I haven't watched him a ton this year to really judge it all, but Pau doesn't seem to be in the same flow as he was when he was in the triangle. Yeah. And also, Andrew Bynum, he always misses a ton of games.
Sure.
And so I get used to just watching the Lakers without Bynum. I get used to watching him on the sideline. But now that he's healthy, I like his game a lot. And I like what he can do out there, especially defensively, whereas Pau Gasol just isn't as good defensively. I was listening to someone the other day talking about how in the new offense, Pau's skill of passing isn't as important. In the triangle, they used it more, and it's just not as important. So his value just isn't as important to the Lakers. Whereas to me, Bynum and Kobe, they're the core.
Should Derek Fisher still receive all this playing time now that he's not in the triangle?
No. He should be playing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
down the stretch, I like him because he can hit clutch shots. He's solid to where he's not going to make a ton of mistakes, but to play the whole game, he's just too old, and it's hard. He's not enough of a threat offensively, and they need a threat offensively. They lost Odom.
They seem to think they have it in now, being dubbed the mini Mamba, Andrew Gowdlock. So
Gowdlock.
It'll be interesting to
College
see
of
how
Charleston.
he develops. Yeah, College of Charleston. Bobby Crimmins.
That's right. So, so the Lakers, the only answer to me is to trade Gasol. But
All right.
let's wrap up the podcast. And I guess did we get who you picking? I'm going Patriots for the Super Bowl.
I'm gonna say that Eli just has their number. Giants.
Okay.
Giants
So
win.
you're gonna say Giants own them. Wow, that'd be crazy. I had the Packers-Ravens in the Super Bowl, so I was wrong. But
Well, to be honest, I wanted to see either the Patriots, Packers, or Patriots Saints, and I was kind of bummed when both the Packers and the Saints went out in that second round. So
yes, that was very disappointing.
I just want to see offense. Well, we might still get it with the Giants. So
I think we will. I think we'll see. Well, they'll definitely be in the 20s.
yeah.
Could almost get to the 30s.
Well, they had the game on last night from 2008 Super Bowl. It was 7-3 through three quarters. So it really picked up in that fourth quarter with the scoring. So I hope it's a good flow to the game.
Good flow to the game.
Yeah.
That's
Not just an exciting finish, but a good game all the way around.
We've kind of been spoiled the last couple of years.
Yeah,
the
we
Super
have.
Bowls have been good.
They've been really good.
Even Arizona-Pittsburgh was a good game.
Yeah, that was good. That had a big comeback.
New Orleans was a good one. Of
Right.
course, last year Packers-Steelers. So it's been good. I hope that streak continues. Then, of course, the first time these two teams played, that was the best. But yeah, so that's what we got for picks. I'm actually going to post a blog, 5 reasons to root for the Patriots and 5 reasons to root for the Giants. And I've mentioned a few of those in here, but I'll post that on sportspectrum.com. And then also make sure you check out Steve's blogs as well on sportspectrum.com. But a quick thought to end it, and usually I like to kind of share something spiritually or try to relate it to life. And this is kind of a life one today. My brother got engaged. Very exciting. He's still in college up at App State, but he got engaged over the weekend, and he's younger than me. And I'm still single. I'm nowhere close to getting married. And so a lot of people have been coming up to me, or they've either said it to me or I know that they're thinking it. Well, Bryce, what's up? What's up with you not being married?
What's wrong with you, man?
And your younger brother is.
Yeah.
And I think people want me to be jealous or upset or make it about me. And I'm not willing to do that. I am thrilled for my brother. The girl he's going to marry is fantastic, loves the Lord, really just solid girl, and I'm so excited for them to be together. And so I think it's the good lesson to learn is being excited for other people's success or joy or happiness, even when things may not be going exactly the way you want it to be. I'd love to be married, and someday I will. God will bring a wonderful woman into my life. It's just the timing's just not there. It's not where I'm at in life, but it is for my brother. So, okay, he's going to get married before me. Good for him. That's great. And I think so many people get upset where, they look around and they go, oh, man, this guy's got a better job than me. This guy's already married. I'm single. And you can kind of start just looking at other people and being frustrated at your own life. But just kind of be thankful for where we're at in life. I'm thankful to be single, and I'm able to do certain things. Last night I got to go to the David Crowder concert here in Charlotte, and it was an awesome time. And I'm single, I've got flexibility, and I can do different things. So I just got to enjoy this time in my life and be happy for some of my buddies that are married, my brother that, even though he's younger than me, he's getting married. So that's just kind of what I've been challenged by, because, so I guess the flesh side of me could be jealous or angry that my brother beat me to it or whatever, but that's just kind of silly. That's an immature way to think, and I don't want to be that way.
Yeah, it's not a competition.
No, it's not. We're all on the same team.
Right.
He's bringing a new sister to the family, and that's great because I got two younger brothers, and so we never had a sister. So Colby's finally stepping his game up and bringing a girl into the family. So I'm thrilled about it, fired up for sure. But I've got a special interview tomorrow or Friday that you can check out on sportsyapp.com as well. And it's a football interview. He's a no-name guy with a great story. So that's a little teaser that you'll have to check out for sure. But thanks to Aaron for hanging out on the podcast today. Next week, things are going to be ramping up big time for the Sports Yapp podcast. Things are going to start slowing down behind the scenes here at Sports Spectrum Magazine as far as working on Power to Win. So we're going to have more time for the podcast. So we really appreciate the support and would love to hear from you. Yappers@sportsyap.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter. Leave some comments on there. And also, you can leave a message on our hotline for the show, 704-303-8435. 704-303-8435. And we're going to start playing just recorded thoughts from our listeners. All right, so we'll start doing that as things get ramped up as well. But thanks so much for listening. Really appreciate it. For Aaron May, I'm Bryce Johnson. Thanks to True for the music. Check out truemusic.com, sportsyap.com, sportspectrum.com. I'm Bryce Johnson. Have a wonderful day. And remember, we do this for an audience of one.